Let's see. I hate this thing. Well, I think it's recording again. It was recording before, but I think...
technical.
Yeah, well,
And
okay.
you can pick up from both sides, or do you want to do it sideways so to make sure to pick up? Yeah,
There we go.
that might be. Okay.
Numerous people in our group have been having issues with these.
It's a learning process, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's always a good way to explain things.
Thank you for being learned upon.
So, with more homes being foreclosed, there's more renters in the area, less family presence.
Right.
The original owners are becoming older and moving out or moving on. And the newer group of people that are moving in, do you feel that they don't have any kind of roots here, that they don't care about the community, or do you see them as being involved?
Not very much. The faces seem to change pretty rapidly. Although there's been some signs that are pretty good. They've been, I think I mentioned to you, a number of people have been starting gardens, and they come over here and ask us stuff and borrow stuff, of course. But it does seem like if you're willing to, plant something and start a garden, maybe you do have more of a connection to the neighborhood. And Agape's also, promoting that. They gave away plants, and I don't know what else, if it was seeds or anything too. But they had a couple of workshops and stuff for people, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Excuse me. And when you and I spoke last week, you mentioned that you had helped with a community garden.
Oh, the one on Florist and where was that? 40. When we initially put that in, that was when David was 3 or 4, so that had to be, and he's 17 now. When we were initially, the guy from Growing Power, Will, came over and helped do that. So Will Allen. So that's pretty neat. That was with, I know Florist Avenue Lutheran was very involved in that, and I'm not sure who else was in on that. But that used to be a really horrible vacant lot, and the guy that owned it he wouldn't sell it, he wouldn't do anything, and I don't know what finally got him to, I think, donate it to the church, or I don't know really what the ownership is. But for the first, at least, let's see, if David was 4, for at least 10 years, that was just an ugly vacant lot.
So the garden's still there today?
Oh, yes, yeah.
So that's been how many years?
Let's see, I would say, it's 16, 20, I don't know if he was 3 or 4, 13 or 14 years probably.
Wow.
So, it stayed, it's,
Is it just for flowers and plants, or is it for vegetables?
I'm not even sure what's in there right now. I think initially it was vegetables, but I really never had a lot of involvement after that, after the initial was set up there.
Okay. And I noticed all the little orange metal bikes.
Mm-hmm, the sculptures?
Yeah.
There's one in front of Agape too.
Yeah.
And I think that was something that they must have commissioned some artist or something. I'm really not smart on that. But it's kind of neat.
Because we noticed that they were by the florist.
The garden
there, and it was very interesting to see that. I thought maybe you'd have some insight. It's okay.
It wasn't their newsletter they sent out. I know they didn't do a little article on it, but it was one of those things that
We can look in the archives and try to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure someone there would be able to tell you about that.
Yeah.
They're good people.
So you attended, did you attend a school here in Thurston Woods, or were you outside?
No, I attended Hampton Elementary School, which is on, let's see, where was that? 55th? Let's see, a couple blocks south of Villard. But once you got into middle school, then, that was, at that time, middle schools just drew from the area. And so Edison drew all the way over there. And I actually used to walk from my home to school at Edison. And my kids can't possibly imagine that, because there wasn't any busing back then, or very little, because there were so many kids in the neighborhood back then.
And then when you got into junior high, is that when you met the friends?
Yeah, that's when I
from
got
Thurston
to know a
Woods?
lot of kids that lived in this area. And as a matter of fact, one of my friend's mother was a nurse at St. Michael's Hospital. And at that time, we used to have, this neighborhood did have a lot of people from St. Michael's, which of course is now gone.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that really hurt. Once they left, you know, a lot of jobs went with them. But, you know, everything's all out in the suburbs now, so that's just progress, I guess.
Yeah. What jobs did you have growing up?
Well, my first job was at McDonald's on, let's see, about 59th and Silver Spring. It's still there. And as I told you, I was one of the first girls to work for McDonald's in Milwaukee. Things were a lot different then. We had to wear waitress outfits and little aprons and nurses' shoes. And there's a whole lot of restrictions on us, and we could only work certain hours, which is another thing that I don't think my kids could possibly relate to.
And then further along, you ended up going to UW Milwaukee
Mm-hmm.
and getting
I
fine
did.
arts degree.
Mm-hmm. And applied design, which I had a few jobs, but like I said, I was good, but I wasn't exceptional, so it wasn't paying the rent, should I say. So I did get a job doing part-time cleaning for the public schools, and it worked out real well when I was going to school because it was like 3 hours a night. So I went to school during the day and, you know, worked for 3 hours a night, and I had a steady income. So in fact, I was able to save almost $20,000, and that's when I ended up buying this house.
Wow.
That was a long time ago.
That's quite a feat.
Well, you're living at home.
Yeah. But still, during those years, it was almost unheard of for women to...
It was, even back then, because when I looked at a lot of homes in this neighborhood, and it's amazing how, you know, you weren't really treated like, you know, seriously. You know, even though I had the money, I had the credit rating, they still were a little bit, you know, wary of me. And especially at that time, interest rates were up at 10%. And my WIDA loan was actually at 10% at that time. So, but anyway, I ended up staying with MPS, and I was one of the school quote-unquote engineers/janitors, and I worked at a lot of different elementary schools in the area. But I never wanted to go beyond an elementary school because the kids get too big. But in order to get in the position, you had to sub for 2 years, and since I was a token female, I was in more than 100 school buildings all over the city, chasing, just so they could show that they were being, I don't know, open-minded. So the two of us that passed the test were just all over the place.
And is that where you retired from?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you meet your husband?
Oh, well, he was kind of homeless. His parents moved up north, and let me see, we were married in '85, but I think I knew him for a couple of years beforehand. But he had no place to stay, so took him in. And we've been here ever since.
And did he work for MPS also?
Yes, and that's how I met him, as a matter of fact.
Oh, okay.
As a matter of fact, I was his boss for a little while.
And you're not his boss now?
Isn't everything equal, right?
And so he bike rides just about everywhere that he goes.
Oh, yes.
And
My daughter also, she bikes just, you know, her boyfriend lives in River West, so she bikes over there, and she bikes down to UWM. She's usually on a bike rather than a car. And of course, then there's my son, who's always in the car.
and so you take the car to most places that you go to.
Mm-hmm.
Do you not prefer to ride a bike? Do you not feel safe in the area, right? Or
You can't carry groceries on a bike to much of an extent, and I'm the one that has to do all the heavy hauling with the groceries. So,
okay.
yeah, he'll do the errands that don't require, much carrying, but, with the kids and their friends, it's always stuff that's coming home, so. But I'm comfortable on the bike. You bike through Thurston Woods down Thurston, and then you can connect up with the bike trails in Glendale, and you can go all over. We've already biked downtown from here, because you pick up the trail in the Lincoln Estabrook Park, and then it's a short shot downtown. So it is, in that respect, it's a convenient neighborhood for biking.
Okay.
Of course, and there's my husband, so he'll even bike out to Miami Falls, but so he's another issue. Well, you saw how skinny he is.
So for grocery shopping,
Mm-hmm.
there really isn't anywhere that's nearby. There's a pick
Not
and
really.
save
Well,
quite a
that's-
ways.
It's on 17th and Silver Spring. That's where I do most of my shopping. But I also shop a lot in River West because I like the people there. They're interesting. I always thought that if this place had a coffee shop or something, some more thing of community, but there isn't. You don't have that consistency anymore.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot
No.
in Thurston Woods. There's Home Run Foods, and then down by Silver Spring, there's a couple of places.
Yeah,
but
they're not places that attract a lot of business. There's a vacuum shop and a daycare. Although we used to do business with some of the auto places on the Silver Spring, so they've held on. But there really isn't. You don't have the gathering places, more or less,
right.
aside from the Agape Center. Because I know a lot of seniors go up there and kids, but we're kind of in between that stuff.
And when we were speaking last week, you said that you don't shop at Home Run Foods. You don't like that place.
I think he overcharges and he takes advantage of the neighborhood. It's a little borderline. He's always I can understand that he's suspicious of the kids, but he also calls the cops really quick. If just a couple of kids will be outside, he'll call the cops. And my son's seen this a number of times that, the kids aren't even doing anything. They're talking. This guy's on the phone right away, so I don't really think he's an asset.
He doesn't seem like he's really part of the community.
Oh, no, not at all. He doesn't. I don't know where he lives, but he's nowhere around here.
So he's definitely an outsider coming in, and
yes, he's found a lucrative spot.
Yeah.
Because I'm surprised that some people will go there instead of getting in the car and going to pick and save at night, because a number of David's friends have been robbed going there in the evening, and their mother was robbed. You just don't, I don't go out at night that much, at least not in the neighborhood. If I go out at night, it's, Silver Spring to the expressway, and that's it. Unfortunately, it's not like years ago when neighbors actually were out at night, and if somebody was blaring a car stereo, everybody would be out looking and seeing who this is, taking the plate down or whatever. And that's a real detriment. The noise level at night is something else around here some days. And I've given up calling the cops on that because it just makes me a target. There's some people that are a little borderline around here.
Yeah. Wow. So you were talking about how the children, what's left of them in your neighborhood, it's a different feeling than it was, let's say, when your children were growing up.
Right.
Because the churches aren't really around.
No, school's not around.
School's not around. So, let's say when your children were growing up, did you feel like there was more of a feeling of that the community was helping
definitely.
to raise the children?
Right, definitely, because there were quite a few kids at that time, and the parents watch the kids. They might have gone to work during the day, but at least some parent was around watching. And you don't have that anymore. But like I said, you see very few kids now too.
Yeah, do you think that is because of the crime rate? Parents
Sure.
keep their children inside?
Yes, definitely. Because I wouldn't let a kid, the last time David got his bike stolen, geez, a couple, I think he was 12. And the kid just knocked him right off the bike at the corner of Florist and 38th, yeah, and ran off with the bike. So, would you let your kid run around on if that was a situation in the neighborhood? Yeah, exactly.
Wow. So everyone's kind of become reclusive.
Well, I think a lot of people, they work or the elderly, they don't, when it gets this hot, they won't come out of the house even, to neighbors to the south, because they can't physically take it either.
Right.
So it's just, you miss the community, the watching. And I really don't know if this is something that can be reversed or not, because you'd have to get more ownership, and you're also, I don't want to sound like I'm down on people, but your socioeconomic status, your education level has dropped. We used to have people across the street and aside of me, people were a little more well educated, and they were employed full time, and that's not, a presence anymore.
Havenwood Forest.
Yes, that's another thing that keeps us here.
Do you go there regularly?
Oh yes, we walk there all the time. We snowshoe, we cross country ski, and it's wonderful biking there. It's just very pleasant. I used to always take a herd of kids over there when they were younger. There'd be like me and like 6 kids on bikes going over there, and I pack snacks along. I think that's one of the things that actually kept us in the neighborhood, because it's a beautiful state park, and people don't appreciate it, don't even know it's there. But
so your family's really athletic.
well, the rest of them, I just kind of follow along. Snowshoeing's easy. It's kind of like they're ahead of me and I'm behind everybody else. But somebody's got to bring up the rear, right? But yeah, it's really nice because they actually have snowshoes you can borrow at Haven Woods, if you just want to try something out. And I think they even did some ski things at one time too. But cross-country skiing isn't as popular as it used to be. But they used to track the courses even. It's amazing how that's the improvements that have been made in Haven Woods over the years. Because initially when I was in college, I attended the meetings when they were trying to get, the developers wanted to develop that land, and then there were people in the area that wanted to let it go back to being a forest and a land. And it's fortunate the Friends of Haven Woods won, so we've been a member of their organization since they started out.
So you were one of them lobbying to keep the forest there.
Yes.
That's
it
really
was my big
interesting.
protest thing in the 70s, that and the county, having the county take over the bus system when it was going to fail, because I rode the bus every day to school, and I couldn't have that fail, and a lot of elderly people I knew, counted on the buses. So those are my 2 big protest things.
Wow.
But that was it. I never got in on the war stuff or anything like that. I had my sit-ins at the courthouse, and but I'm glad Haven Woods that it did win out that way, because it's really been a lovely addition to the neighborhood. And the wildlife there, you won't believe. There's like there's like herds of deer that you can just be walking there and they'll come upon you.
Wow.
And there's fox and hawks. It's really quite a beautiful place now.
What kinds of changes have they made to it since?
They've gone back to creating a wetland, prairie land, and they've cleaned up the stream that went through there. They've trying to make it more what it should be, a natural area, because that was I think we talked about that. That was a prisoner, a German prisoner camp during World War II. That area was farmed. It just went through a lot of different uses. And now it's amazing what they've done. They should give you guys a tour sometime.
Does your family volunteer there?
I used to more when the kids were little, but I've known Judy Knippel, the supervisor there, or superintendent there, for years and years.
So it seems to me that you're one of the more active community members in Thurston Woods throughout the time that you've lived here.
Mm-hmm.
You got children together, packing lunches, going to Havenwood, and your family got involved with saving it, and you got involved with the buses, and it just seems to me that...
Well, yeah, that's part of our, it just probably an extension of our faith too, because my husband's church, the United Church of Christ, is very, you do service to your community. My kids, before they were confirmed, that was part of the deal, is, that your lifestyle has to include community service. So, we grew up with that.
That's just amazing, because too many kids these days don't care at all about the community,
right.
And they don't get out, they don't volunteer, and that you're instilling those values in your children is just, it's wonderful.
Well, we'll see how long it hangs on.
Yeah. Gosh, I wish my children had that go attitude.
Well, I think a lot of the schools are required. I know my daughter's high school also required her to do so much volunteer work, which is a good thing. I mean, you've got, it's part of your community, like you say.
Yeah. So what is your daughter's a college student?
Mm-hmm.
And you said she's going to be starting UWM
right.
in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going for German?
Yeah, German, and I'm not sure if it's psych in English. I don't know what other her... She's going into something.
And that German stems from when you had them in the immersion schools growing up.
Yes, unfortunately at Carleton, we had her there at Carleton for kindergarten, but I wasn't real pleased with the school at that. It was already starting to drop its standards. And German immersion, I knew, had very high standards for their kids, and they always did well. They could compete with, the rest of the state, as it were.
Did your ethnicity play a part of that? Because
I suppose
your family is German.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just heard so many good things about the school, so
yeah,
it's kind of neat to be bilingual these days. I wish I had kept up my high school Spanish, which unfortunately I dropped then, because you need it. It's
Yeah. And so then your son is in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have a job?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. He just fixes up his car, right?
Yeah, well, he worked at Pet Supplies on Port Road, and yes, his car keeps him busy. Always a new project there.
And is he at the German immersion school?
He went to German immersion also, but then he followed up at Milwaukee School of Languages, which goes from middle school to high school. So he's been going there. Because, Rufus King is an international baccalaureate school where my daughter went, and you do end up with more homework there. It's a much more rigorous academic program. And he wasn't so sure he wanted to go through what my daughter went through, because she complained constantly, of course.
Yeah. So now that I've segued into the German heritage part, your parents, were they both German descent?
Yes.
Okay.
All four, everybody was German until, I don't know how far generations back, but it's sometimes the borders change, so it might have been Czechoslovakia that was Germany, or those little border lines, but yeah, as far as we know.
And does that culture play a part in your life here at all, or are you
Probably
more
not.
Americanized?
Yeah, I think we're Americanized. it's just a nice thing for the kids to be active in, and they could talk to my father-in-law was in Germany until he was about 6, so they can talk German to him and, to other people when they want to.
Oh. So, when did your family arrive here?
Let's see, my mother's parents came, the early 1900s. And my husband's parents, his mother was here for generations. I'm not sure how far back they go. But his dad came, I'm sure, early 1920s, I believe.
Did they feel any of that anti-German sentiment, or were they even interned at?
Oh no, nothing like that.
Nothing like that.
But you didn't speak German during the wars. Let's put it that way. But then a lot of times they would be moving around a lot because they, at least my mother's family, lost their bakery during the Depression. And then they ended up moving into all different neighborhoods. So sometimes they'd be in a Polish neighborhood, and sometimes they'd be going to Catholic schools, and sometimes they'd be going to public schools. So there was a lot of changes, due to economics back then. And whereas my husband's family didn't move around as much. They had skilled trades that were needed, and it was a different thing. They didn't move.
And you said one of your relatives published a German newspaper?
Not published, had to sell a German newspaper during the time after World War One. Let's see, yeah, he must have been a kid then, and it was difficult to do that because you never knew the sentiment of the people you were trying to sell to, even though this was in the downtown area.
Yeah.
By the way, you mentioned the book. That you knew someone that authored one of the books on Germany from Milwaukee, or German Milwaukee. Yeah. I was looking up the book. I do have both those books, but my husband and I were at the Brumder Mansion over the weekend for a play, and that's really a neat book. I never read into it as much as I did since you mentioned knowing one of the authors.
Yeah, it was a class at UW Milwaukee in the German department, and
that's how you got it. Okay.
Yeah, and they published a book, and one of my friends had written a chapter or something like that. Yeah.
It's once you start, you pick up a name and you can actually find it in there. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. But the reason that I asked about any parts of the German culture is because I remember seeing hanging in your dining room wall, at the entrance to the kitchen on the right, there's a little sign that says something.
Those are from my mother. There's a few little German, sayings around here, and of course the German map in the foyer. It's just kind of a neat thing because it's, it became part of our kids' lives probably more than mine.
Do you cook German style foods ever, like Spätzle?
Yeah, I have a few recipes that were handed down from the grandmothers, so I still do that. But I'm not, that's complicated cooking. It's not stuff that I'm really supposed to eat anymore. Unfortunately, as we get older, we can't eat all that good stuff.
So we're in the house. We're in your living room.
Mm-hmm.
Is this where you spend most of your time?
No, I'd say so.
You'd say so? Besides the living room, is there any other part in the house that you...
Probably not in the house. Outside the house is where my kids' friends hang up out a lot because we have a fire pit and a picnic table and that. So we do kind of a magnet here at night.
Oh, okay.
But then you know where the kids are too, so
Right. So then, within the house, you made a few changes when you moved in.
Mm-hmm.
You had to update it, take down wallpaper, and...
Yeah, the electrical and the plumbing needed updating. And we there was all carpeting. We took all the carpeting up and went down to the hardwood floors. And there was definitely a lack of storage in a home built in that era. So my husband had to build closets, my husband and my dad. So there's kind of strange, additions, but that's, you had to function as a, family in this era.
Mm-hmm. And also it was once used as upstairs.
Yes, there was a rental property upstairs, which is still bizarre to me.
Yeah, yeah. Because there's really no entrance point.
No, they must have used the front door and the bathing facilities and the phone. Must have been very congenial.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else that I may have missed out on here. I think for the most part I covered a lot of the questions.
Some of the things that attracted me into the house, I think I mentioned to you, it's the round door, the round window in the door really grabbed me. And then, of course, the corner built-in china cabinets, because that's something I never saw. My parents' house was everything straight lines, really everything the same in all the houses. And the ceilings are all a little different, very interesting to paint.
Can I ask a couple?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to interrupt, but you were talking about how you spend a lot of your time here in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
What kinds of things do you do here?
Well, until a few years ago, it's always Thanksgiving. It's the holidays here, because you can run. At some point in time, you used to run table all the way into here and have a card table here. And
wow.
Yeah, because it seems like I just ended up having a lot of the family gatherings here as the rest of the family aged. Excuse me. And I don't know, the kids liked coming here too because we had air conditioning, and some of their families didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a comfortable home in that respect, and it's not too big. I mean, you can clean it; it's manageable.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you think makes it comfortable? I mean, it's a good size, and is it centrally located for your family, or?
Yes, that's another thing. We're at, now that most of the relatives are passed on, but it's still not that far from, any of our relatives, or from our church, or from shopping, and of course Havenwoods. We had basically everything we needed here, so that's probably why we've stuck it out.
Yeah.
But it's just too bad that I don't feel as safe as I used to.
Yeah, those changes are, I think, in my opinion, they're tough to observe.
It is.
I mean, it's been kind of a long span of time that you've been here, which is nice. And the other thing that I wanted to ask a little bit about, because you were talking about, and maybe you can tell me how this has changed over time too, is you were talking about your son kind of gathers with his buddies in the backyard, and the fire pit is a gathering place. Has that changed? Did your kids play out in front and gather when they were kids?
Oh yes,
or
definitely. There used
how
to be.
has that moved or anything like that?
You don't see big bunches of kids here anymore like you used to. When they were growing up, there was a lot of little kids, and the front yard, the backyard, there was always kids around here. But I don't know if they're, as you said, I don't know if they're keeping more kids inside or if they're not around here or what. Although we have had people with little kids move, and I don't know if they just didn't feel comfortable, because a couple of nice families were here and then they were gone. And maybe they, had the same feeling I did. I don't know.
Sorry, if there's, you shut me off if you need to. What you're saying kind of sparks another question, which is you said you saw some families with younger children kind of come in and move, and you've talked about kind of the transience of this neighborhood. If you had to look at, say, when you moved in versus now or over time, has the how long have people lived here? How long had they lived here when you moved in? You were the new guy, and then...
Oh, well, when we moved in, there was people that have been here for a long time because St. Albert's Church had a very big draw in the neighborhood.
Uh-huh.
A lot of kids went to school there, and when they went to church, the families went to church there. And it was very noticeable the first years that we were here. And that, when that started declining, when the church closed, you could just see a definite change in the neighborhood. People started moving out.
Really, how long do you think it took kind of to see that change happen?
Probably over about 10 years.
Okay,
I'd
so
say.
pretty short.
Short period of time.
Yeah. Now if you look at the street, and you've been here significantly longer,
Mm-hmm.
have people been here 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, or how would you think that kind of mix changed a little bit?
Yeah, that's changed significantly. I don't really know that many people that have been here that long anymore.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and my son, they're a lot more visible on the block. My husband picks up paper on the block too, so everybody knows him. But let's see. The families that have been here like over 10 years or so, maybe a dozen families. And this is a long block.
Yeah.
It's a double block. But I'd say there's probably about a dozen homes that we still know that families have been here for a significant amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, so many of the homes have changed over so many times.
Like every couple of years? Or?
Yeah, they've gone from
wow.
owner-occupied, then rentals, and,
Mm-hmm.
that's hard.
Yeah. Okay, can I ask one more question? See, we kind of divided up. We've got, she's leading one, and I'm going to lead another. But I can't help but interject.
That's fine.
My personal interest is food.
Mm-hmm.
So when Megan was asking where you shopped and things like that, and the start of the community gardens,
Mm-hmm.
Where do you get fresh produce?
Well, from my garden, for one.
How much do you garden?
I've been gardening more every year now.
Yeah.
Because I'm getting a little more suspicious of what's in food. So, especially stuff like lettuce and tomatoes and kale. I'm trying to, get more healthy stuff, in our diet that way. But otherwise, we actually go all the way down to West Dallas Market. I mean, we go to any farmer's market that we find, we'll stop at, later in the year.
How far away is...
That's
from these parts. How far away do you go for fresh produce?
We usually just combine it with something else we're doing.
Sure.
And, if we see something along the way, we'll do it. But other than that, let's see. Where else do we go for?
Where is there a...
Well, Will's Growing Power in Silver Spring sells fresh stuff also.
Mm-hmm. Do you go there?
I have occasionally, but it's not, it's a horrible place to stop. I hate to say it, but Silver Spring's very fast.
Yeah.
And it's all parked up along there, so I don't generally do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I hate to say it, but I shop all over the place.
No, I mean, that's for me, that's instructive.
Right.
Because one of the things I am interested in is where, how far do you have to go?
Mm-hmm.
And was there ever a farmer's market in Thurston Woods?
No, I don't know. The closest one would have been in Brown Deer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually on Brown Deer Road. I don't think there's anything else. Well, we go to the east side too. I mean, there's a lot of them down there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've already brought stuff home on our bikes. A little borderline. Gee, that's hard to say. Because I'm not real crazy about Pick and Save's pros. I mean, it's okay, but it's not,
I hear.
Yeah.
When your son has his friends over,
Mm-hmm.
do you cook for them? No.
Well, sometimes I'll make tacos for them. But they're pizzas on their own and then snacks. I mean,
And you said that you used to do Thanksgiving, or do you still do
I
Thanksgiving?
still do Thanksgiving.
You still do?
Yes. The characters have changed a little bit over the years because, we're combining my sister's extended family and ours because the family's just gotten older, and there's not a lot of kids in the generations now. So it's, and we alternate Christmases here, so it's still fun. But, even that some of my relatives are a little bit, hesitant to come here because they're, concerned about the neighborhood. So we just let them all park in the driveway and we park in the street. But it's a legitimate concern to a certain extent.
Do you have any photographs of the gatherings that you've had here?
I can probably dig them out by the if you get to the point where we scan. I mean, they're total chaos. It's just bodies wall to wall.
Well, but it would be interesting to see how the space is used.
Yeah, because my daughter remembers that more than I did, because I forgot about putting the card table at the very end here for the kids.
Yeah.
And it's hard, you see how big houses are now, and I don't know how we did this so many times, It's fortunately we had the half a bath upstairs, you could spread out that way.
So how many people, sorry to interject, how many people did you get at Thanksgiving dinner?
Oh, that's varied so much over the years.
Yeah.
Jeez, I know, now we're down to like 8, or it depends on them.
That can still crowd a
8 or
house.
10. Geez, let's see. How many do we have? Probably close to 20 at one time.
And did you do all the cooking here for that?
Oh, yeah.
Holy
See, there's
cow.
that old stove downstairs, and that still works. And I use that. That old monarch thing monstrosity.
So you'll cook upstairs and downstairs
yeah.
for Thanksgiving?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's the only way I can really, do that to pull off,
Well, with 20 people.
Yeah. But it's amazing that the old thing still works. You got to light it. It's the old-fashioned gas stove, and you stand back when you light it too.
Because it goes whoosh.
Yes, you know
I had
that.
one.
Okay,
I had one. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about then.
Yeah. So do you have any other large family gatherings here? Or?
Not as much as we used to. We've kind of lost the whole generation.
Yeah.
My parents' generation
Sure.
is gone now.
Yeah.
And my kids only have 2 cousins. There's no, not very prolific.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's both sides of the family, my side and my husband's. So there are a lot of second cousins, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just isn't, the large families aren't there anymore.
So upstairs, downstairs cooking is at Thanksgiving time primarily?
Yeah, and Christmas.
Oh, and Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have the family gather here at Christmas time too?
Usually we kind of alternate, but Christmas Eve I'll have somebody, my sister and her family there.
Yeah.
Just a few other questions. I'm looking at the list here. Are there any places in Thurston Woods that you would like to change?
Probably floors could use some changes. Could use some stop signs because traffic moves way too fast on there sometimes. I mean, I got hit on there once, and you should not get hit on a street like that. Seriously, somebody should not be going that fast to plow into you. And even like this street, at night, this gets to be a real raceway. I'd like some speed bumps. I mean, they've done this on other blocks in the area, and it helps tremendously because there's people with motorcycles and with hot cars, and it's not quiet like it is during the day when you ladies are here.
I can imagine.
And it's too bad there are so many of the small businesses left, because I think I mentioned to you there used to be a small grocer. A drugstore, an upholsterer. They were all on Forest Avenue, and they were, and there was next to the garden that actually was a liquor store at one time, which probably wasn't the best thing to have around here, but I think the guy was here for a long time, and he did maintain the building and all that. And that, when that place is gone through, I don't know how many owners, I think it's vacant now again. It's unfortunate.
And we know about Havenwood as preservation. As for improvements, as opposed to changes? Are there areas that you would like to see improved, homes improved?
Well, that'd be tremendous, because it seems anytime a house becomes vacant, all the windows get busted. I mean, there's one down there on the other side of the street, and there's a vacant lot now. I don't know if you noticed, not the house right after us. That house, I think it was almost 4 years that was empty, and then the city finally ended up knocking it down. And there just wasn't the promotion of getting that house back into somebody else's hands. And I gave up calling the city. They just didn't respond anymore. And, it's the vacant, when a property gets to that point, you've got to do something immediately, not let it sit for years and years and years. Because, I mean, I think that's one reason that family moved out that was next to it, because they were always throwing, there's glass breaking. They had little kids. They didn't want that. It just wasn't safe.
Right.
But I mean, that little business area, if something could be brought back there instead of, I think the daycare's empty. There's nothing there now except that Home Run Foods. Mm-hmm. It's just become an eyesore, really.
Did you used to shop at the?
I used to shop at the drugstore.
Okay.
Excuse me. Because they were a little family-run place, and they were really, a very nice little store to go into when you needed something quickly. Mm-hmm. And that didn't, I don't know if they closed about 5 years after I moved in. But then there was just a little grocer next to that, and it was just like one of those, small, have everything kind of places. And the upholsterer he'd been there forever too, and we did bring things up to him. But changes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are there any stories from Thurston Woods that you think are particularly significant in Wisconsin's history or the area's history that you can think of off the top of your head?
Not really. I would like to know more about when this was part of Granville, and it must have been, and that was Berryland was the Berry Orchard, and there was the prison over there. So it must have been, I would like to have known what the neighborhood was years ago. And that was the first time, that was initially veterans housing. And it'd be nice to, know some of that history of those people. But, because this lady, I don't know whatever happened to her family or anything, but she had a son, so there must have been some, involvement in the neighborhood when it was really different. So
that was a berry orchard over there,
and that's why they call it Berryland.
Was Berry the name of the family, or was it?
No, there was berries.
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 And they were berries.
I think it must have been cherries. Cherry trees. Yeah, someone told me that once, and it's hard to imagine that. I don't doubt if there's anything left from that, because you figure that was, let's see, when were they built the housing after World War II? That must have been like the 50s, late 40s, early 50s that they built these things. Wow. This was the middle of nowhere back then. I mean, but they used to be, the trains used to be, and that was North Milwaukee over here. It was, quite a center of industry and, transportation. I mean, that'd be so neat if, the train runs through Haven Woods. I mean, if they would actually get, run the train from someplace, and so you could bring people to Haven Woods, there just isn't that anymore. Because you can go all the way downtown, and I think the tracks do go downtown, and they're still used, but they're a little borderline now.
Yeah, if they improved the tracks, then more people from the city could come out and enjoy Haven Woods.
Put a coffee shop there.
Oh. Oh no.
Hey, come on, it's working. You got the beer garden, Esterbrook Park now. It's working. I think that's pretty cool. Anything to get money to fix the parks up again. Jeez. That's just so sad to see the parks, suffer so much.
Is there anything that you want to address, Cindy, more than you have?
Geez,
No?
you guys have caught everything now.
Well, that was the only thing that I was going to ask. Is there anything that you think we've missed when we were talking to you?
I don't think so. A lot of stuff you don't even need to know. But I mean, overall, we've enjoyed our years here. But we're at the point now where my son's going to be graduating in another year, and my daughter's probably moving out pretty soon. And do we want to hang on or not? There's a lot of issues.
What do you think might move the decision one way or another?
Probably our health, because the other place we would live would be, we have a home up north, but your medical care is very, it's half-hour drive. Something happens, you're not going to get care immediately. And plus, I like the diversity of, the area. I like downtown. I like River West, the east side. Those are places that we hang out, and I find it difficult to, there's not a whole lot of. I like the Northwoods and all that, but there's not the different kind of people or entertainment and all that. So,
Right.
It's hard to see what we'll do, because we had initially planned on moving up there when we retired, but now it's kind of, and plus my husband's taken on the job at church, and then now he's doing some other people's lawns because they saw him working, so now we're kind of tethered here. And I've actually thought about going back to work too, because the kids don't need me anymore. Their time will come.
What do you see yourself doing if you go back to work?
I don't know. I'd like to do, be self-employed, but I don't know what. Because I'm not too crazy about working for other people anymore.
No going back to McDonald's, right?
Oh, God. Well, pretty soon MPS isn't going to exist anyway, so the way things are going. And, it is too bad that you guys, somebody should look at the school buildings before too much happens, because like Carleton School is really neat. Phillips, Rufus King, the stuff that's in these buildings is fabulous.
We had talked about that actually in one of our classes.
Did you?
And
I mean,
at least for right now, for the 5 weeks that we've got, they're
you couldn't do
huge endeavors.
Yeah.
But I think, maybe
If
it's somebody's
some
thesis
point-
project or something.
Before they're gone, before they're sold off or not taken care of, because I know now it's just minimal maintenance is being done.
Oh, really?
And then, sooner or later, if you're not heating and ventilating the building regularly, woodwork, the ceramic tile, the mosaics, this stuff isn't going to hold on. And it's, it's just really too bad that these buildings couldn't be repurposed, even as if somebody would take care of them as another school. Because that's one thing, MPS always maintained their buildings. They kept the stuff up. I mean, if you see the stuff in Rufus King, it's amazing how old that building is, and, the condition that the woodwork is. Of course, the only thing is they have these marble steps that have now they're bowed because of so many kids walking on. But anyway,
The remnants of many feet.
yeah, but it'd just be neat if somebody would take up this project before it's gone.
Yeah.
Just kind of sneak that into your professors.
We'll weave that in. So.
Because I do think you guys should have gotten a tour of Carleton School as part of the neighborhood. Because there was there was a lot of kids at that school for so many years. And,
So it was the sorry, you'll have to remind me. It was the middle school or an elementary school for all the neighborhood, or?
yeah, at one time it was. Yeah, and a lot of kids I knew went to Carleton School.
Okay.
It's just I don't know why they put Thurston Woods so close to why they did that. Because I don't think there was that many kids that just sustained that. Oh, are you feeling neglected? She's upset because I keep everything drawn when we have it running the air conditioning.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Can't see the birds.
Yeah. Well, she's more interested in other cats. Nobody's supposed to come in her yard, She goes out briefly and she runs right back in again. She's a real,
We saw 3 cats.
Oh yes. Well, see, I'm in the TNR program, the Trap Neuter Release with the Humane
do you?
Society. That's why there's the stuff in the backyard, and that's another thing.
So, sorry, this is now another tangent, but
Yeah, great.
it's interesting. I mean, is there a big feral cat population?
When that house was vacant for 4 years, there was like a whole cat colony over there for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and then they come over here. They
And
were
have
eating.
kittens in your
Well, no, they eat the kittens over there. But what happened is sometimes I throw out bread for the birds, and I found the cats eating the bread. And that disturbed me. So of course we always had cats, so I always had cat food. So it just kind of went on from there.
Do other people in the neighborhood participate in that program too, or?
Actually, the one guy down the block, he's been taking the cats to Maddock and having them fixed, and at his own expense, and bringing them back. And they also take care of the cats in their yard. But my neighbors on both sides of me, they buy me cat food and they help me out and all that. But one thing that disturbs me is I had to go through a whole process with the city and through a hearing to do this. It's you have to notify neighbors all like half the block has to notify, and behind me, everybody had to know what I was doing. But yet the lady next door opened a daycare, and I didn't even know about it. That you can just open a daycare without anybody saying anything. And she's pretty good about controlling it, but it's the parents. 6 in the morning, 6 at night. They're, it's the horn honking, the sitting in the car, blasting the stereo, and bring my kids out to me because I can't get off my butt and get them. And I don't understand why a daycare can come in here without, no scrutiny. And I try to take care of cats, and I had to just about walk the plank to do this. I mean, I had to go down to the Humane Society for classes, and, like I said, I had to go to a hearing because somebody complained, and then they never showed up for the hearing. I had to go through this whole thing, this whole process, and state my case why I should be able to do this. But then the person that complained about it never showed. And I still don't know who that person is.
Yeah. Wasn't important enough to
That's
them, I guess.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's been some of these cats are abandoned pets. I mean, the other one, the big gray one, he was a house cat, and he just could not survive outside. And we ended up having him fixed too. But how many? That's why I went to the TNR program, because they'll fix them for a nominal fee. It's $10. So it's just because you can't keep.
There are only so many kittens that
Exactly.
an abandoned house can support.
Exactly. Yeah. And even though, like I said, the neighbors have been super about it, most of them, but it's an expense.
Yeah.
So you trap them in your backyard?
Yeah, I've got a trap. I didn't want to do this while anybody's, because you have to use the metal traps, the big ones, and you have to bring them in.
They have hearts.
Yeah, you have to bring them in the trap, and then you pick them up again in the evening.
And then you release them back to the neighborhood?
Yeah, well, sometimes if the cat's sociable enough, they'll try to adopt it out. But then if it doesn't work, you're going to get it back. But they microchip them, they give them their shots and everything, and, they're fixed. Yeah, so it's try to keep sooner or later, there's got to be a stop to these cats. And I really admire John down the block that he's, because he's got cats in his garage, and he's had quite a few fixed at his own expense. But he's a real little wiry guy, and he's always tooling around on his bike. He works at in Shorewood at, I think it's Wheel and Sprocket, and so he's always biking around here too, him and my husband. But he's a super guy too. It's people like that keep you in the neighborhood.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a really difficult decision for you guys if you ever decided to leave.
Well, I mean, like the mortgage has been paid off forever, so it's
so nice.
Well, you got to remember, I only paid $39,000 for this house.
Still
nice. But it is. It's very hard because my sister is still in town, and my husband's siblings are, in the area. That's not that far. So, it's tough to leave family because there'd be nobody up there anymore. His family's, all left the area. So, I don't know. What do you do?
Good.
Well, but I'd probably move to River West. I like the crazies there.
So we need to get. We don't have any photographs.
Oh,
There's
Um,
paperwork, of course.
oh, okay. I was
Well,
gonna
why
say
don't
I
we
can.
do, actually, why don't we walk through the informed consent, and then let's get the approval in advance, and then we don't have to bug you with it later.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because then we can just come back and scan
Yeah.
and not fuss.
Yeah, I'll
Does
see
that
if I can
sound-
find some more pictures. Like my daughter's been going through them, and nothing's in sequence anymore.
Yeah. Let me ask you if you are willing to do a video recording session.
Not really.
Okay. Okay. Are you going to be at any of the events that are going to be happening at the Agape Center?
Possibly. I have to see how jives with other stuff. I'm going back there tonight because we've got that deal with UWM students with the Bellow the Block program with improvements in the homes. Because
Oh, really?
one thing we've talked about is there's a number of people in our family that are disabled. They can't get into the houses easily because there's all steps everywhere. And we had a real issue with my mother and my uncle and aunts, and that nobody could get in the house at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been talking about ramping the front somehow or another, redesign the front entrance so that you could get a ramp up with a wheelchair or walkers or whatever. Because it's really,
Wow.
it was just sad at the end because the last years I just was not able to get them in the house anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And it's hard to leave, family, at the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, that's what happened with my grandparents at the end.
Yeah.
We had to put a ramp in at their house.
Um,
It's depressing.
yes, yeah, because it's not the same. I mean, sometimes we bring stuff my mother was in Luther Manor, as well as a couple of my aunts and uncle. But, to bring stuff in there, it's just not the same as being
Yeah.
in your family setting.
Right.
It was very difficult. So, now that my husband's father is, pretty borderline now, so if he's ever going to come in the house again, it'd have to be, accessible.
ramp.
Yeah.
So they made some changes to the form, but we don't have the updated version. So
Well, why don't we go through the bits of it?
so yeah, let's go through. Do you want me to start at the
Well, here,
beginning?
why don't we'll do a couple things, and why don't we give you one to look at while Megan walks you through it, because this is, do you know what informed consent is about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great.
Signing away your life?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Informed consent says, I know I'm signing away
Yeah.
my life, and then you
That's a
do.
very good way to put that. I never heard of it
Right.
that way.
So I did some of the crossouts, but you can follow along with Megan. We'll ask you to sign the other one, because
Here we go.
there we go.
So you've got opt-outs on here too, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can
there
opt
are.
out anything that we discussed if you don't
Oh,
want it
yeah,
shared.
okay.
So there's been a change with the section that's confidentiality
Okay.
because they're gonna be putting some of the information up on the website for the class. They're building one to share the information with anyone in that wants to use it for research purposes, basically. They're also going to be having a lot of it housed at the UW Milwaukee Archives, so that students can use it for scholarly publications or whatnot that they use it for.
Can I ask, are you going in neighborhoods all over the city, or how did this?
I think that's ultimately the idea.
Yeah, that'd be
And I
neat.
know that our professor has another one kind of on the docket for the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And have you taken a look at the blog yet?
I initially did, but I didn't.
It's this idea of picturing Milwaukee, so
Yeah.
that we get to, we kind of explore Milwaukee through measuring.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for allowing us to measure your house, which we do need to talk about a little bit. But and also getting these oral histories, so understanding how you view not only this room in your house, the family nature of this area, but also your yard, your neighborhood, and relationship to Milwaukee.
Well,
so
really
my hands don't get any bigger than that.
Whoever came up with that, I really applaud them.
It's a great way for us as students to explore and hone some of our skills. And on the flip side, we give it back. So what we'll try to do out of this is have something that's very shareable with the people that have worked with us, so that you'll get some more insight into Haven Woods and some of Granville's history, and so there'll be a little bit more meat there. That's the plan.
Well, no, it sounds great.
So it's what we can do in 5 weeks. Yeah. But
because next week we're gonna start looking at more of the plat maps, Sanborn maps.
That's interesting. I looked at those once, and I wish I would have gone back there another time.
Yeah, and we're gonna be pulling the information and hopefully
find out where the berry orchard actually was.
Yeah.
And actually, there must have been farm plots over there then in Haverwoods too. That must have all been divided up.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're gonna do is we're gonna look at the history of this house.
Relative to the rest of the.
Right. We're gonna pull out, like when we're looking at the different maps and that sort of thing from the history, see if how it looked or who owned it and that sort of thing. Kind of get a further back history of the house, and so we know kind of when it was built.
What was the year on this house, Judy?
29.
29. Okay.
All right.
Just curiosity there. So the informed consent is, is
do I
it?
sign this one or
Well, we'll give you that one, but the things that our professor asked us to make sure that you were aware of, and let us know if you have any hesitations. We'd like to put, we'll have audio files and we'll have the drawing of your house that we'd like to put on those three things. So the web would have a fairly wide availability, and then the library would have a more narrow availability, and then the scholarly research has the narrowest. But we'd like to leave.
Well, no, I don't have any issues.
That's great. And then what we'll do is we'll get you to sign the informed consent that yes, you're signing away your life, and then we'll actually ask you to sign away your life for the rights of the photographs and the documents, and then the sound recordings.
Sticky anything is around here if I'm going to sign.
Is there anything that I missed on that? I figured I've done informed consents a bunch of times, so I don't know if you have or not, but
no, I have not. I have not had to.
I did it for medical stuff, so.
Yeah.
Oh, you were in the medical trade before? That's what I remember it from.
I was selling drugs. No. Yes. In fact, it was pharmaceuticals, but yes.
Yeah, I did a really informal oral interview once, and I didn't have anything signed, and so I can't do anything with it other than use it for myself right now.
I
but
thought about something.
Yeah. And now this will allow. Who knows? In 5 years, somebody will go back and pull your words about, how you entertained your family here, and how it was a gathering point and things like that. So, who knows how valuable these will be. Sorry. Okay. Now quiet again.
So if you want the corrected version, when I come back to scan pictures, I can bring that. I'll get a copy from Professor Sen, and we'll.
Are you guys still in houses, or is that part finished? Are you still measuring?
Well, we have some to go back and finish up. I was doing an exterior that I need to go and finish up. So
this is not the weather to be.
No, maybe by Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We lucked out last week.
Yeah.
So why don't we get that one signed
Let me sign it with my
Yeah, we'll get it signed as is, and then we'll bring an updated one, and then you can have both copies.
Do I need to initial this or anything?
Here's what might help is we can talk. If you could write a note with your initials that says "discuss changes" right there, and then if something happens and we don't get back to you promptly, you'll know that we've discussed the change. Here, do you want this?
It should work.
And then, yeah, perfect. Okay. And then, let's see, printed name of, there you are the subject.
I have one of your pens.
Yes, you may.
I can't dig mine out. I don't know.
Oh, I know that.
Sort of lost in the abyss of my bag right now.
Oh, the date.
Yes,
What would you
please.
say it
Always
was?
important. 6/19.
Okay, thank you.
It's not an official legal document without it.
Now,
Says
Cindy,
our lawyers.
do you want your name here too, since you sort of asked some questions?
Do you mind?
No, I
That's
don't
probably
mind.
a good idea.
I'm thinking about that.
Yeah,
and-
no, you're probably
and-
right.
Yeah.
Because we double teamed you, which we're not supposed to do anyway.
Ah.
That's okay.
I think it's fine because there's things that I was missing, and it's good to have a second person there so that
I always felt that way.
if you're
I
missing
agree.
something, then you have
Yep.
that other outside.
Okay.
Oh, one more thing to sign? Huh?
Yeah, two actually. So you are the interviewee, if you fill
Alright.
that in.
Printed, I trust?
Yes, ma'am. And then here as well.
Yeah, that one's for the
For the photographs and the drawing of your house.
Yeah, even any pictures of your family at Havenwood or other places in the community, if any.
Oh,
That would be
smells.
awesome.
There's nothing like new smells, is there?
Blue-eyed, the holy cow.
Let me see.
My kids would be going crazy about these cats. They love.
She's always in everybody's face. Print their name, signature. It's amazing because even at the holidays when the house is packed with people, she's right in the center of it. And the other cat you won't see for, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything here, huh? It's
So-
just,
I have a question about this.
what? Oh, that's our,
That's an antenna?
yeah, for the HD, because we're in an odd spot, because we have trouble with cell phones and with, they said it's kind of a dead spot for some reason, because even with our computers sometimes, with our internet, we have to have extra, a little extra boost for everything.
Huh.
More expensive internet service, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that would make it hard for some people to have internet, wouldn't it?
And it's weird, because there's been some cell phone companies that won't even work here. And nobody has ever given us a really good answer. They said, you're in a dead spot. We have probably better cell phone up, in northern Wisconsin. So I don't think we'll ever give up our landline. Well, that's been chewed by squirrels already.
Inside the house or out
No,
out of the
outside.
house? No, I had in one house, and I think in the house that I live in now, there were probably mice at one point that had chewed.
Oh yeah, mice are.
I had the place rewired, thank goodness, but
Um,
Lord. And I saw one run in under my stucco yesterday. Not yesterday, Sunday. My brother said, "Get it out and put steel wool up there." I'm like, "Get it out? I'm putting steel wool up there. The mouse weighs an ounce. If it dies, it dies."
Yeah.
Yeah, the mice are the worst. I know the neighbors
They
once
are.
had them in there, and they have along this wall they have the whole. It's like a built-in countertop, and the mice got actually in from the outside and got into the linens. She
Oh,
had kept all her family, the linen tablecloths and everything were in there. You want to borrow mine?
Yes, thank
Oh,
you.
sorry.
And it
You were
chewed.
waving at
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know why you were waving at me.
Those were one of the former. I don't know. Those were a couple neighbors back. that house has changed. Like, had 4 different people living there already since we've been here. So, but it is a nice interior too, or it did. I don't know what's there anymore. That was like years ago already.
You're the only one that I've noticed with like a vestibule.
Yeah, that is unusual.
Yeah.
It's nice, but because you have that from the outside. It's just that the doors are so odd that you have to, maneuver them around to get anybody in there. Of course, having crap in there too doesn't help. But when you have kids, you have a lot of crap.
Well, even as it is, it's a little challenging because you do have to get them both open the right way in order to get through.
Exactly.
So, well,
It's been a pleasure talking to you ladies. I don't get to talk that much.
well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time, and
I'm
I
interested to see what goes on after this.
yeah, and thanks for sharing
You're welcome.
your house and your thoughts and your.
Yeah, I was just up there voting. I thought I was looking. They had some things about jobs. So I was looking for my son, and then I started reading everything else that was up there. So.
Yeah, I mean,
And one of the ladies that was real enthusiastic about everything that was going on. So, you know.
yeah, I mean, thank you very much because
Oh yeah, thanks.
I really enjoyed talking with you.
Oh, well,
You know,
thank
the aspect that interests me the most as a historian is the German ethnicity and, you know.
I guess she was a German. Her name was Sturwald, Alma Sturwald, and I think that's a pretty heavy German name, actually. But I haven't been able to find anything else out about her.
Is that the one that you
The
saw
lady
here?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
The lady that actually more or less died here, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's, you know, she did everything. I admire her.
Yeah. Was this a pretty German neighborhood in general?
At one time, I think it was.
Okay.
Because Granville was, you know,
Okay.
North Milwaukee was a really German neighborhood. And it was, you know.
I'm coming from the naive perspective on that a little bit.
Oh yeah, German is huge
Oh,
presence here.
I knew, but I didn't know like where if it was North Milwaukee versus South Milwaukee. I'm assuming
north
South
side.
might be a little Polish,
Yeah,
because my
yeah.
sister-in-law's
Exactly.
from South Milwaukee.
But this, the north side of town was really, I think at
Oh.
one time the immigrant population was like, oh man, almost 80% immigrants of
Really?
German heritage. Yeah, and you probably would know that better than me.
It would have been in late 1800s,
Yeah,
early
yeah,
1900s.
because when you read those books, like you say, you gotta read those books.
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Oh, well, you're very welcome, and I continue
Appreciate it.
success.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I have a book for your daughter. I forgot it's in the trunk.
Oh, okay.
That-
Oh, that's right, you told me about that.
Yep,
Yes, she'll love
yep.
that, thank you.
It's 100 Years in One Summer, and
With my shoes.
yeah, it's with her shoes. And one other question: do you know if your neighbor or the next one down might be interested in talking with us, since they're
They might,
Older individuals.
what's the time frame on that?
maybe this week? If
I can talk to, I'll try to, you know, like I said, they don't come out.
right,
all the time.
exactly, yeah.
So I have to, you know,
We can go in.
oh yeah, that'd probably be.
Well, yeah.
But I'll see what I can do, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, do I have a phone number for you? Or should I call Professor Sten? Leave it with him? I still have his number somewhere.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
why don't
Or if you
why
can
don't-
give me a,
Yeah.
we'll write down
Here I've got.
Megan's number.
And
Oh, good.
I will run out and
oh, okay.
and grab
You got my
that book.
doors.
Yeah.
And I'll
The Murrays would be interesting, especially because, you know, they've been here so long.
uh-huh.
And even Pete and Marlene would know a whole lot more than I do.
Well,
Although-
and you know, every bit, and especially if you guys are on the same street,
Yeah, it's okay if she walks out, she'll walk right back in.
Oh, okay.
it's kind of interesting. So here's mine, and we'll get Megan's when she comes back
Okay,
in. But
I'll
I'm
see
a Chicago girl, so I
Oh,
don't want to
okay.
do that.
What, you commute?
I do.
Oh, I admire you.
I do it on the train. I don't do it
smart.
driving.
Yes.
I- I'd be crazy driving.
Yes, I would be too. It's too bad the metro doesn't connect all the way. It'd be
Yeah, I
cheaper.
do Amtrak from the town where my mom lives.
Oh, wow.
Amtrak to Milwaukee downtown, and then a bus.
How many days?
Well, every day for the summer,
Oh, wow.
and then I don't know what my school schedule looks like yet.
Jeez, I admit it, that's.
It's
know.
you know it's.
But you can read and stuff too.
I can, and
Which
it
I
makes
think
for
is
early
great.
days and later nights. But as I was
Oh.
thinking about it and talking to my mom, I said, I worked like this when I worked. You
Yeah,
know, I
that's true.
was gone from the house by. Now I'm gone from the house by 6, but I was gone from the house by 7. I was
you were in
home
the
till
medical
7:30 or 8.
professions?
Do you know where Abbott Labs?
I've heard of them.
They're on 94 between Chicago and Milwaukee, about halfway.
Yeah.
So I worked there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so you know, I thought, shoot, people in New York commute
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah, you do it all the time. Well, that's neat.
I used to work like
But
this.
you're really into what you're going into now.
You know, I'm really excited
That's
about
great.
it, and this is really a great opportunity for me. So, you know, I'll figure out a way to make it work.
Oh, that's, yeah, you're inspiring.
Yes, as you can see, my chicken scratch only on the first page, as I had so much trouble figuring out any of the words, and I just gave up and said,
After one
forget
page.
it. It was just
Should
too
get a kick out of
difficult.
that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that was a book that you were supposed to read, or you were reading?
My German host mom gave that to me.
Oh, you're okay. That was
And it's geared
1943.
towards teenagers and young adults. But
Can you write down your number
yes,
there?
yes.
Oh, sure.
Oh, neat.
Because she has been keeping up with her German reading, so that might be something a little different than some of the stuff she's reading. Okay, so I'll have to see if I can get a hold of them.
Yeah.
All right. That would be wunderbar.
Yeah.
Ausgezeichnet.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's my German. Done.
Those are important things to say too.
Yeah.
Great.
But once again,
Yes,
thanks.
take care.
Thank you so much, Lorie.
Have a good day and try to stay cool.
Yeah, stay cool.
Air-conditioned venues.
Bye-bye.
I know. The cat in a row. Did you go all
She's right here.
Come on, meow yourself.
Yeah, see, I know, you just want to see what's out there. That's
Yeah, nothing interesting. I'm back in, it's cool. Take care, bye-bye.
Sorry.
No.
Here we go.
Okay.
I mean, there,